Hey, welcome back everyone, Mike Zeroh here once again. Today we are diving into Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, and I really wanted to look at beloved character Kylo Ren, and whether he may or may not be redeemed. And I want to go over a couple pointers as to why he may be redeemed, or why he may not be redeemed. Or perhaps we are going in for the unexpected turn of events. Maybe he's a double agent sent in by Luke Skywalker for all we know to get close to Luke. And he gets lost in the dark side of the Force as he goes through that task. Who knows? But for now, let's just look at why he may get his redemption or why he may not get his redemption. And I want to start off with Darth Vader. When we look at Darth Vader in the past, he terrorized the galaxy for how long? 20-some years? Maybe longer? And within that time frame, he eventually got his redemption in Return of the Jedi. Now, that was last minute, right? I mean, it really took a long time for Vader to get that redemption to where he was Anakin Skywalker once again, and he could finally love himself once more, as said in, I believe it was the 1983 novelization. So, when you're looking at that, I think it's definitely possible that Kylo Ren could still be redeemed. However, let's dig deeper here. When we look at how Kylo Ren possibly turned to the dark side by neglect, alright, and I think that this was definitely a factor because J.J. Abrams did say that Kylo Ren was neglected as a child. To make it more simpler, Han and Leia were not good parents. They were doing their own thing. Leia with the whole political situations, and, you know, Han Solo with whatever he was doing, whether it was the smuggling business or what, I don't know. But he was doing something that led him to not spend a whole lot of time with his son. Probably in his teens at that point in time. And I think that neglect led to anger, and that anger led to a lot of different mixed feelings, and I think that's when Snoke essentially steps in and takes charge and takes advantage of his feelings and converts him easily. Without question. We do know that from the novelization, and this is confirmed, that Snoke was watching over Leia. He was watching over Leia ever since Ben Solo was within her womb. To make it sound even creepier, Snoke was watching Ben Solo as an embryo. How creepy is that? So he had an agenda years ahead. So I want to really, go to Han Solo here, one of the most beloved characters in the Star Wars films, how he was killed off. Would this fly with a lot of fans if Lucasfilm and Disney were to have Kylo Ren gain his redemption either in Episode 8 or Episode 9? That is a big question now, isn't it? And I do believe that there's a good percentage out there that would not accept Kylo Ren's redemption, at least without good reasoning. And that is what I'm going to dig into deeper here, is that, when you look at Anakin Skywalker, right, he killed younglings. Kylo Ren killed his own father. So I think it is possible still for Kylo Ren to get his redemption, but I think that there's going to have to be a lot of substance to that decision, right? There's going to have to be a lot of reasoning that makes it feel meaningful. And that is what leads us to Vader in comparison to Kylo Ren. When we look at Vader, at the end of the day, he looked out for family. He saved his son from death. He was watching him getting electrocuted by the Force lightning by Palpatine. And he was looking back and forth, back and forth. He knew Luke was almost done for. He stepped in and saved his son. Hence, he was redeemed. He became Anakin Skywalker once again, and loved himself once more. However, Vader looked out for family. Kylo Ren did not. He killed his own father. This is something very, very terrible. Going against family. Turning against your own father, of all people. The son kills the father. It is a true tragedy. And it is an interesting one that they inserted this into the sequel trilogy because it is interesting. The son kills the father. Very interesting stuff. It is tragic. Very tragic. It makes the character all the more conflicted within himself, and that leads us to whether or not he deserves his redemption, regardless of him having hesitation leading to that decision, or regardless of him having this regret of his decision. You know? Hesitation or regret. It's almost like, is that going to justify his decision? I don't know, guys. You answer that to me. I just don't know, because I think that Kylo Ren's redemption needs to be deserved. I think there has to be a reasoning to it. And, you know, I think that really leads me to why Kylo may be redeemed, and I think that it's going to have to be a little bit different than how Vader was redeemed. I think that he would live. I don't think he would die, because if he were to be redeemed and then he would die, I think it would mirror that too much of Darth Vader's situation in Return of the Jedi. So I think that at least his fate, alright, would lead to survival, but his decision to whatever that decision is that would lead to his redemption would have to be meaningful. And I'm going to get into that in just a second. I think that he would have to... I think he would have to essentially go in saving somebody. Let's take Rey, for example. Right? Let's take Rey, for example. He would have to know that he's going in and he's going to die. He's going to die trying to save Rey. He has to know 100% that doing this is going to kill him. And let's just say he is going to survive, but he doesn't know that. I think that would be a great way for him to gain his redemption. Would it be a little bit like Vader's? Yes, but I think that not killing Kylo Ren would make it a little different. And that leads me to other things here too, because when you look at, you know, Star Wars overall, I think a big piece of it is redemption. The prequel trilogy was all about Anakin, right? How he became from Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader. And the original trilogy, in my own personal opinion, was about Luke Skywalker's journey to becoming a Jedi, to Darth Vader getting that redemption. I think that those are the two biggest stories in the original trilogy. If you're asking for my opinion, that's what I think it is. Luke becoming somebody, and Darth Vader finally becoming Anakin once again. So, I think that his hesitation to kill Han really shows us a lot of conflict within this character. And personally, I think that killing Kylo would essentially just maybe create a lack of character development. I think that if you were to have him survive, it really would save that development and keep its purpose, to say the least. Because it's different with Vader, because Vader, you know, now that they have the prequels, they have Anakin as a kid and growing up throughout all 3 films in the prequels. This, you know, it's just 3 films. I think that killing Kylo off, in my opinion, would be a little bit of a mistake. But take it as you will, you know, with my opinion. I think that, honestly, Han was going in there knowing he was going to die. When he saw his son, he knew he was going to die. He knew it was over. But he took the chance to maybe say to himself, if I approach my son, right, and if he is to take my life, I'm hoping that him taking my life would actually lead him to going further to the light. We do know that Leia knows that there's still light in him, right? And I think that convinced Han Solo to approach his son. So when he's looking at Kylo Ren, he approaches him, and he knows he's going to die. That's how I took it. He knew he was going to die. And once he finally gets stabbed by Kylo Ren's lightsaber, it was said in the novelization, I'm pretty sure it was the junior novelization, I think, that, you know, he hoped that Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, would forgive him someday. And I think that, at the end of the day, since it's in the novelization there, I think that he will. So I think that killing off Kylo Ren, you know, as a character, would really validate Han Solo's sacrifice, because that was a sacrifice. So, killing off Kylo Ren, And I think this answers the question on whether or not he will be redeemed. I think that killing Kylo Ren as a character will validate, or should I say, would not validate, alright, Han Solo's sacrifice. I think that Kylo Ren has to live to make Han Solo's sacrifice meaningful. Think about it now, right? Han Solo went in there knowing he was going to die. As he was almost dead from the lightsaber, his thought was, as he fell, according to the novelization, he hoped that his son would essentially forgive him someday. And forgiveness, to me, sounds like redemption, right? So, I think that killing off Kylo Ren, yeah, I think it would be a mistake because it would make his sacrifice feel meaningless. And that, in turn, I think leads us to the answer here is that I think that Kylo Ren could gain his redemption. And that leads me to my final piece. What if that's not enough on Disney and Lucasfilm's part for the fans? What if redemption is too much like the original trilogy with Vader? Or what if him not becoming redeemed is just too trying to do something different, but yet it's very expected, right? Because if he's not to be redeemed, or should I say, if he is to be redeemed, what else are we going to think, right? Okay, he's not going to be redeemed. So that's to be expected. So I think that a real interesting thing to do is if Kylo Ren is a double agent sent in by Luke Skywalker to get close to Snoke, but in the process, and this is where things would get interesting, is in the process, alright, he loses himself in the dark side. He loses himself and he completely gets lost, and maybe he still has this agenda, he still has this task at the back of his head, and he figured at the time killing his father would get him closer to Snoke, perhaps. We don't know. It's just a thought. We do know that Snoke was looking over Kylo Ren as an embryo within Leia, so maybe Luke knew that and told him, hey, Snoke knows this and that, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's overthinking, but I think that at the end of the day, I think since this is Star Wars, and since that this character is so conflicted already, I think that there's a really good chance that he could gain his redemption, but there has to be a lot of reasoning and purpose to it to make it feel great and original. They have to do something different, spice it up a bit, right? Anyways, guys, that concludes our video for today. Sorry if I made it a little bit too long there, but I wanted to really go in depth with this, and I would love to hear from all of you in the comments section. Do let me know what you think about it all, and if you guys want to see more Star Wars related videos just like this one, do make sure to hit that subscribe button, and lastly, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. Thank you all so very much, guys, for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Night to moon, we hear them once again.